Come, come, let's hear the moral story. Come, come, let's hear the moral story.
All right, welcome. You know, we all love fairy tales, but today's story is a bit different. It's less about a spinning wheel or a poison apple, and more about a really clever mystery. We're talking about 12 princesses, a king who's completely stumped, and a secret life that only starts when the clock strikes midnight. So let's get right into it and try to solve this incredible puzzle. So here's the big question, the one that has the entire kingdom scratching its head. Just imagine for a second you're the king. You've got these daughters, right? You lock them in their room every single night, but every morning their dancing shoes are just wrecked. I mean, totally scuffed up and ruined. It makes no sense, right? It's this impossible situation, and somebody needs to figure it out. And look, we're not just talking about one pair of shoes here. We're talking about 12 princesses. That's 24 shoes destroyed every single night. The sheer scale of this thing is just mind-boggling. You can totally see why the king is just about losing his mind over this, right? Okay, but here's the kicker. This is what takes it from just a weird puzzle to something that feels, well, almost supernatural. The king locks the door himself, with his own hands, so there's no way in and there's no way out. This one little fact changes everything. It's not just a problem anymore, it's a total paradox. I mean, how on earth could this be happening? So, the king is basically at his wit's end. He's tried everything. So what does he do? He raises the stakes, big time. He takes this private family headache and turns it into this huge, public, royal challenge. And the prize? A whole kingdom. But, and this is a big but, there's a real dark side here. If you fail, it's not just embarrassing. Oh no, you get punished, and badly. We're talking a classic high-risk, high-reward situation. And as you'd expect, right, princes from all over, dreaming of crowns and kingdoms, they all line up to take a shot at it. And one by one, they all fail. But the person who's actually going to crack this case? Well, he wasn't a prince at all. He was someone that nobody, and I mean nobody, saw coming. You know, this slide really gets to the heart of the story, doesn't it? It's all about the difference between, say, entitlement and just plain old intelligence. The princes, they all follow the same playbook. They're arrogant, they think just watching is enough, and then, classic mistake, they take a drink from the very people they're supposed to be spying on, and poof, they're out cold. But our hero, this humble soldier, he comes at it with a totally different game plan, caution, and a little bit of strategy. And really, his success comes down to this simple but honestly brilliant four-step plan. First, he actually listens to a warning from a mysterious old woman. Smart move. Second, he gets this amazing tool, an invisibility cloak. Third, and this is key, he doesn't drink what they give him. He just pretends to. And finally, he plays possum, feigns sleep, and just waits to follow them wherever they're going. So his plan goes off without a hitch. The soldier's just lying there, totally still, completely unseen. The princesses, they're totally fooled. They think he's out cold, just like all the other trumps who tried before him. So they start getting ready for their nightly escape, and he is about to see something no one else in the entire kingdom has ever witnessed. And then, there it is. The big reveal, the very first clue that cracks the whole case wide open. The escape route wasn't some hidden panel on the wall or a secret window. Nope, it was right there, under their feet the whole time. A trapdoor hidden under a bed, just perfectly concealed. And the soldier, completely still, just watches as the path to the secret finally opens up. But where does this staircase go? Well, it leads to a place that's way more magical than anyone could have ever dreamed. The soldier quickly throws on that invisibility cloak and follows them down, down, down into the unknown, leaving the real world far behind. And wow, he steps out into this absolutely breathtaking underground world. The very first thing he sees is a whole forest of trees where Every single leaf, every single branch is made of pure, shimmering silver. Can you imagine? It's this silent, beautiful, and kind of strange world down there. But the magic was just getting started. After the Silver Forest, the path leads them into an even more spectacular place. A forest where everything, all the trees, are made of solid gold. You can just picture this warm, golden light filling up the whole space. And then, for the grand finale of their journey, they go through one last forest. And this one is made entirely of diamonds, sparkling with this light that just seems completely out of this world. Each step of this crazy journey takes them deeper and deeper into this hidden realm of pure magic. And so, here it is, the answer to the whole mystery. At the end of this magical journey is a secret ballroom. It's a place where the princesses can just escape, forget their royal duties, and just dance. And this isn't just about having fun. It's about a secret life, a little bit of rebellion against their father's locked doors and watchful eyes.
Okay, but just seeing the secret isn't enough, right? He can't just go back to the king and say, "Hey, I saw a diamond forest." He needs proof, cold, hard evidence. Otherwise, who's going to believe the story of an invisible man? It's just a crazy tale without something to back it up.
And this is where our soldier proves just how clever he really is. He was thinking ahead the whole time. As he was following them through each of those magical forests, he quietly snapped off a little twig from each one. And these are his silver bullets. These impossible branches of silver, gold, and diamond are the undeniable proof he needs. So the next morning comes. This is it. The moment of truth. The king calls for the soldier, probably expecting to hear another story of failure. He asks that big question, where did they go? But this time, for the very first time, he's about to get the real answer. So the soldier tells his incredible story, and then he plays his trump card. He pulls out the proof. And when the princesses see those shining branches, they just turn pale. There's nothing they can say, no way to deny it. Faced with actual pieces of their own secret world, they know the game is up. And the king, true to his word, rewards the soldier's cleverness. He gets to marry the eldest princess and becomes the heir to the whole kingdom. And just like that, the mystery of the worn-out shoes is finally solved. The secret midnight dances, well, they're over for good. So what does this all leave us with? It kind of makes you think, doesn't it? All those powerful princes, they all failed. But this one humbly soldier, he succeeded. And not because he was strong, but because he was smart. He used observation, caution, and intelligence. It really suggests that maybe true power isn't about your title. It's about being clever enough to see the hidden trapdoors that everyone else just walks right over.
Let's talk about Pinocchio and his incredible journey from a wooden puppet to a real live boy. It all kicks off with a lonely woodcarver named Geppetto, who just really wanted a son. So he carves a puppet from this strange, magical piece of wood, and he names him Pinocchio. Now, this puppet could walk and talk, but wisely, not so much. He got into trouble right away. Still, Geppetto forgave him. He even sold his only coat to buy Pinocchio a schoolbook. The journey begins. But, Pinocchio picks temptation over responsibility. Instead of school, he follows music to a theater. He gets a chance to help his dad, but gets tricked by promises of easy wealth instead. And yeah, the Fox and Cat's plan worked like a charm. They took his money and just left him. A kind fairy rescues him, giving him another shot, but he fails the honesty test immediately. And we all know this part. When he lies, his nose grows. A pretty visual lesson, right? Pretty soon, he's tricked again. This time by the promise of endless fun in the land of toys. But a place with no rules, turns out it has a terrible hidden cost. Yep, the boys there literally start turning into donkeys, a symbol of their foolish choices. He gets thrown into the sea, swallowed by a giant creature. This is pretty much rock bottom. But inside, he finds someone totally unexpected. Geppetto. His dad was looking for him. And this is the turning point. For the first time ever, Pinocchio thinks of saving someone else. And this time, the change is for real. He works hard, he studies, and he cares for his father. His actions finally matched what it means to be a person, responsible, loving, and honest. So, one morning, he wakes up, and he's not made of wood anymore. He earned it. So, is becoming real about magic or our choices? Pinocchio's story suggests it's the journey.
Hello there, and welcome. Are you ready for a wonderful story? Today we're going to dive into a classic fairy tale, one that's filled with magic, some very tricky promises, and a guessing game that is just so important. So let's get all cozy for the story of Rumpelstiltskin. Once upon a time, in a busy little kingdom, there lived a poor miller and his daughter. Now, this miller, he had a very, very big problem. You see, he liked to brag. A lot. One day, he told the king, "Your Majesty, my daughter can spin straw into gold." Well, the daughter, she dropped her basket. "I can what?" But oh, the king's eyes turned all shiny, just like 2 gold coins. He said, "Is that so? Bring her to the castle." That night, the poor girl stood in a room that was piled high, high, high with straw. The king's voice was very stern. "If you do not spin this into gold by morning," he said, "you will be in big trouble." Oh my! With the king's threat hanging over her, everything seemed hopeless. And that leads us to the second part of our story, the tiny man's magic and a mysterious little visitor who changes everything. The girl burst into tears. "I can't even spin noodles properly," she cried. And then, suddenly, poof, a tiny little man just popped right into the room. He had funny little shoes, a pointy hat, and a grin that stretched from ear to ear. "Why are you crying?" he squeaked. "The king wants gold from straw," she sniffed. "Ooh," said the tiny man, and you can just imagine him rubbing his hands together. That's easy peasy, lemon squeezy. And then, whir, whiz, zing, and just like that, the straw turned into shining gold. The girl gasped. "You did it!" "Of course," he said, so proudly. "But I need payment." So she gave him her necklace. Well, the next night, the king was even greedier. "More gold!" he demanded. And again, the girl cried. And again, poof, the tiny man appeared. "Crying again? You should charge rent for these tears," he joked. He spun more gold. And this time, she gave him her ring. Twice, the mysterious man has saved her, but the king's greed just keeps growing. So on the third night, the stakes are raised to an unbelievable level, and this brings us to our third chapter, an impossible promise. On the third night, the king gave her the biggest room yet. "If you spin this," he said, "I will marry you." The girl groaned. "This is the worst fairy tale ever." Poof! The tiny man appeared again. "No necklace, no ring," he said, looking all around. "What will you give me now?" "I have nothing left," she cried. The tiny man leaned in close, and his voice was just a whisper. "Promise me your first baby." Her eyes widened. "My what?" But she was so scared. And so she agreed. And then, whir, whiz, zoom. Gold was everywhere. The king married her, time passed, and she became queen. So, the miller's daughter is now a queen, And for a little while, everything is wonderful. But a promise is a promise, and it's time to pay the price. And this turns into a very high-stakes, 3-day guessing game.
Then one day, poof, the tiny man returned. "Hello, your majesty," he giggled. "I'm here for the baby." The queen hugged her baby so tightly. "Please, please don't take my child." The tiny man tapped his chin, thinking, I do like games. If you can guess my name in 3 days, you can keep the baby." And he bounced away laughing.
Day 1 arrived. "Is your name Bob?" she asked hopefully. "Nope," he cackled. "Tom, too normal." On day 2, she tried something a little different. "Is it Wiggly Pants?" he snorted. "I wish, but no." Oh dear, the queen was getting desperate. With only 1 day left and not a single correct guess, the queen's time was running out. But a last-minute report from a messenger reveals the one secret that could save her child. This is the moment we learn his secret name. On the 3rd night, a messenger rushed in, completely out of breath. "Your Majesty, I heard a tiny man dancing in the forest," he said. He was singing a very strange song. "Tonight I shout with glee, tomorrow the baby belongs to me. No one knows, not even the king, that my name is Rumpelstiltskin." The queen blinked, and then a slow smile spread across her face. That's quite a name. Armed with the secret name, the queen is finally ready for the final confrontation. This is the moment that leads to happily ever after. Poof! The tiny man appeared again. "Well," he said, looking so smug, "guess my name." The queen took a long, deep breath. She looked him right in the eye and said, "Is it Rumpelstiltskin?" Well, the tiny man's reaction was a complete and total meltdown. First, he just froze solid. Then, his little hat popped right up in surprise, and his eyes bulged out of his head. He screeched at the very top of his lungs, "How did you know that?" Then, he stomped his feet so hard the floor shook, and he spun around in furious circles, and finally, he turned as bright red as a tomato. And then, poof, he vanished completely into thin air. The queen hugged her baby close. "Note to self," she whispered, "never trust tiny men who love straw." And they all lived happily ever after, with absolutely no more spinning. The end.
Once upon a time, there lived a king and a queen in a grand palace. They were very happy because they had a baby girl. The queen smiled and said, "She is beautiful." The king laughed and said proudly, "We will call her our princess."
They planned a big celebration and invited many fairies to bless the baby. One fairy said kindly, "She will be gentle."
Another fairy said happily, "She will be smart."
Another fairy said with a smile, "She will always be joyful." Suddenly, the doors opened with a loud sound. Boom! An old fairy walked in.
"Why was I not invited?" she said angrily. The king and queen felt scared.
"When the princess grows up, she will touch a spinning wheel and fall asleep forever." Before the old fairy left, a kind fairy stepped forward. "I cannot remove the spell, but I can change it. The princess will not sleep forever. She will wake up one day."
The king ordered, "Remove all spinning wheels." The princess grew up happy and curious. One day, she walked around the palace and said, "What is this place?" She climbed a tall tower. Inside, she saw an old spinning wheel. She said excitedly, "Ooh, this looks interesting." She touched it. Suddenly, the princess fell asleep. The whole palace became quiet. everyone slept, a thick forest grew around the palace. Many years later, a prince came riding by. He saw the palace and asked, "What is this place?" An old man said, "A princess sleeps inside." The prince said bravely, "I will go in." The vines moved away. The gates opened. The prince walked into the palace. He saw the sleeping princess and whispered softly, "Wake up." He gently kissed her forehead. The princess opened her eyes. She smiled and said, "Hello." At that moment, everyone woke up. The palace was full of life again. The princess learned that patience and kindness always win. And they lived happily ever after.
What does it mean to be brave?